everyone, it's Lorraine coming back to you for another episode of the Ellinesscrafts podcast. I've just got in from work and I felt like just doing a quick video sharing with you my finished objects and my works in progress. So for those of you that are joining me for the first time, welcome. This is a podcast predominantly about knitting and crocheting. Currently I'm just focusing on knitting. I'm sorry, I'm wiping my face because I'm sweating up here. It's quite hot in my room and I started to get a bit shiny, so apologies for that. Where was I? So you can find me if you want to chat, join in discussions, get involved in showing off your work on Ravelry. I have a group on Ravelry called Ellinesscrafts. At the moment I have on my first thread, which is basically sharing with you things that are my first attempt at, and I'd like to see what you guys are doing as your first ever, like for example your first cardigan, your first jumper, your first scarf, that kind of thing. Be nice if you could share those things and we can talk about your experiences and you know, what's gone wrong, what's been right, what's gone really well, what you're finding difficult, you know, any kind of chit chat you feel like throwing in that thread, that's fine. I've also got I think I've got a work in progress tab in there, thread even. Let me see, just quickly look at my yeah, I've got a works in progress one where I'm sharing the things I'm working on. I've got an incoming yarn video. I just recorded a video showing the yarn that I bought recently because I couldn't wait to show you guys that. And then I've got a what have you finished up thread, so finished objects thread, so you can show off the things that you have finished. So yeah, if you're interested in joining in those discussions, you can find that on Ravelry as Ellinesscrafts. I'm also on Instagram as Ellinesscrafts, but you can't really talk so much on Instagram. It's kind of nice to connect and kind of delve into discussions a bit more on the Ravelry thread. So if you're on Ravelry, do come over and check out the group. But yeah, that's it for the intro section. I want to show you my finished objects because I have been working on this cardigan that I am working on for the second time. I started it last year, can't remember when I started it, and I wanted to finish it for my holiday last year, and I didn't get to finish it up in time, which was one disappointment because the yarn shop that I bought the yarn from didn't stock it, and I wasn't aware of places like the Wool Warehouse and Derrimores and all them kind of shops. So and I wanted to get the same batch number, so lot number even. So yeah, so I was disappointed in that, but also once I'd completely finished the cardigan, it was way too big for me, and I ended up having to give it away because I didn't know anything about negative and positive ease, and so I knitted up this cardigan, and it was a pattern that I got from a stall in the market. It was, is it a Stylecraft? I can't even remember what the, let me have a look. I can't even remember who it's by. I think it was King Cole actually. Just have a quick look. So it was a sweater and cardigan by King Cole. The information's on my Ravelry page. I do show all my projects on my Ravelry page, so you can check that out, which is Ellinesscrafts as well. So you can check out any projects that I've shown you that you're unsure of any information. If you want to know more, check out my Ravelry project page and you will see the things I've been working on, am working on, and have queued, all that kind of thing. All the information's over there. So anyway, so I've worked on this cardigan last year, and after I came back from my holiday, finished it up. It was too big. I didn't factor in the positive ease on the pattern, didn't understand it, and so the cardigan came out way too big, maybe like 3 sizes too big. I'm a size 14, so it came out, a UK 14, so it came out huge, looking like maybe a size, I don't know, 20 or something, and it was just way too big for me, and so I had to give it away. I gave it away to a family member who I thought it would fit, and I think she said it was too large for her as well. So this cardigan was just too big altogether. So anyway, so I've done it again. I was determined to get this cardigan done for myself and do it properly. I've learned a bit more about positive and negative ease through watching podcasts and reading literature on negative and positive ease, and yeah, I think some YouTube videos, but mainly podcasts, will explain this kind of thing. This is why I find this kind of video really helpful. Anyway, so I learned a bit more about positive and negative ease, decided to attempt it for a second time because I'm that determined. I really wanted this cardigan, and I have managed to complete it. So it has a lace section here, which first time round I found it really difficult on the first cardigan, trying to keep up with the pattern, because I was really reading into the pattern too much, and I've made mistakes as to the line up of the holes and didn't quite understand lace. It was my first attempt at lace, and so it's not surprising I got some of it wrong and I did make mistakes. This time round I found it a lot easier because I wasn't focusing so hard on the stitch count, and I was just following the pattern and and I think for this actually I used, because I've got the interchangeable Chalgoo needles, they have like a little lifeline hole in the needle, so I actually used the lifelines while I was working the lace section, just in case I made a mistake, and then I could just rip it back to an easy part to kind of pick up and start again. And I think I did do that a couple of times on this section where I think I put it down and came back to it and probably lost count of what I was doing. Anyway, so the lace section was a little bit tricky for me, but I think it came out okay. Then there was this section, which was pretty easy, and then there was a bit more lace, and it just looks so pretty, and I managed to finish that up. The other thing I found tricky on this was I hate picking up stitches. I absolutely hate picking up stitches for the button bands, because especially for one like this where I had to have something like 167 stitches, and you have to kind of evenly space them. And I'd seen a video where they said that you pick up 3 stitches, leave a space, pick up 3, leave a space, pick up 3, leave a space, or you pick up 4, leave a space, pick up 4, leave a space. And I tried to do that. I don't know what that method is called, but that's what I tried, and I tried to do that for this, and then I realised that when I got to the end I didn't have enough stitches. Oh, it was just a nightmare. I hate picking up stitches. And so what I did, I used my Chalgoo circular needles, and I picked up all the stitches as I went along. Didn't knit them yet. I just picked up what I thought were stitches with good space apart, using the 3 1 3 1 3 1 kind of method all the way along, and then I counted them up to see how I got on. But what I did do, what made it easier was, because the pattern's divided into 3 sections, I thought, well, if I divide the stitch count into 3, then I will just pick up a third of the stitches. I should have a third in this section, a third in that section, and a third in that section, and that should be enough. So by the time I got to here, say it was 150, I would go, right, this section should have 50 stitches. So if I don't have 50 stitches by the time I get to here, then I know that I don't have enough. And that was how I was kind of doing the picking up stitches, and that made it a little bit easier for me. But yeah, the one other issue I have is the rib. I think I started at this end of, is it this one or that one? No, it's this one. Look, you can see it's kind of off, a little bit off. And although I picked up the stitch from the very, very top, for some reason it's not quite like up there. And granted, I haven't blocked the cardigan, so that could be why it's kind of looking uneven. But I don't understand. I mean, if it's not that, then I'm not sure, because the other one, look at that, perfectly flat edge, but this one, not flat. If you've got any tips for how to align the top of the button band with the neckband, do share, please, in the comment section or on Ravelry, because I think that would be helpful, not just for me, but probably for other people that have the same issue. Anyway, so I'm going to quickly put it on so you can see. It is roomy. It does have some positive ease to it. It is quite a wide neck, which is fine. I like it, But look, most of all, the sleeves are not too big, they fit nicely, there's some give in there, and the front, let me see if I can just show you that. It's not as long as I'd like it to be, so I would like it, I like my cardigans to kind of be just below my waist, enough below my waist that kind of the top of my bottom, but this is quite short. But I suppose if I blocked it, it would kind of stretch out, it would lengthen it a bit. Still not as long as I'd like, but I think it still looks good. The only other thing I was a bit disappointed with was the back. So if you can see the back there, I'm not sure if you can see it, I'll take it off and show. But the back, where it's all stocking stitch, I can see certain changes in the stitches. I'm not sure if you can see them. Some stitches seem to be a little bit looser, like here. I think you can see that. You can see that there's some kind of pulling of the fabric there, and actually I can't see it now. Here, down here somewhere. I don't know why this looks a bit loose. Maybe I lost a stitch. I think I possibly dropped a stitch and went back and picked it up or something. But it shows, because there's a huge amount of stocking stitch, any kind of slight mistake shows up a lot. So I think the major thing for me was that when a ball of yarn runs out, I need to remember to not let it run out in the middle of my knit. So for example, my yarn ran out here, and you can clearly see that. Instead of letting it run to where it can, I should just take it to the edge and rejoin the yarn at the edge, and not like anywhere within the middle of the fabric. I mean, this is common sense probably for those of you that have been knitting for a long time, but I think I got to the point where I was like, oh, so much stocking stitch, I'm not sure I can be bothered to do this. And really what I should have done was just bite the bullet, just end the row before it runs out, before it gets too short to join it, and having to join it before I have to join it like anywhere in the middle of the thing, the pattern where it's going to show. I should just join my yarn at the edges. Anyway, that was my cardigan. That's my lace cardigan. I like it a lot. I'm really pleased with it. I'm so pleased that I've managed to do it again, because I was really running out of steam at one point, because it's my second time trying it, and I just was starting to feel a little bit worried that it wasn't going to turn out right. I had to rip back part of the cardigan because I'd looked at the pattern and I hadn't done it the right length, so I had to go back to a particular point before the decreases to redo that to make it the right length. And yeah, I'm pleased that it's done. I'm glad that I have the finished article, and I can wear it now that it's warm. On the cooler evenings, this was the plan, I can bring out my cardigan and just put it over my shoulders and wear that when it's a little bit cooler. So that is one finished object. The next one was a quick knit. I was kind of doing this while I've been working on the cardigan, because I do need a change. I do like to mix things up a bit so that I don't get bored too easily with the projects that I'm working on. And I'm going to show you some socks. I like to have a pair of socks on the go quite often now. Once I finish a pair, I tend to move on to another one, because it's an easy knit. It's kind of mindless for TV watching, and also I like to do it while I am travelling to and from work. So I like to have something to work on, and it kind of takes my mind off of my boring journey. So I finished up these socks, and these are my Alpine Sea Green Vanilla socks, and these have a Flegel heel, which is slightly different to the heel flap and gusset style, and they are two-toned, so I have two different colours on the heel and cuff. I used size 2.25mm needles for these, which are 9-inch circulars, which I tend to use. I've been reaching for my 2.25s all the time for socks now, because I really like that size. I like the fine fabric that it creates, and it's just it just works for me. It works. So these are toe up socks. So I started at the toe, and for the yarn I used my Woolly Mama yarns for the green, and this is in the colour sea green teal. It's a beautiful green, and I used that for the toes and the cuffs, and I found her on Etsy. These are, all the yarn for these socks is 75% merino, superwash merino, and 25% nylon. And the coloured yarn is the Felt Fusion yarn, which is in the colourway Alpine, and they are on Etsy as well, Felt Fusion. All the information is on my Ravelry project page, so check that out if you're interested. I did do another pair of socks in this colourway here with different toes and cuffs in an orange for my daughter, and those are the same yarns. So the toes and cuffs on those are Woolly Mama yarns, same as these, and the Alpine Felt Fusion superwash merino / nylon yarn in the middle section. So the only thing different about this is the this is no different to the orange ones. It's a fleagle heel, as you can see. Let me bring one of them. You see the other one. So you do your decreases, your increases, because it's toe up. You do your increases, and then you do your heel shape in here, and that's the way it looks, and it's so nice, and I love the way these look. For the cuff, I think the pattern on the fleagle heel pattern I used, it suggests using a lifted increase, and I didn't do that. I just did a yarn over increase. I think I did a make one left, make one right increase for this sock, for these socks, instead of following the pattern and doing a lifted increase. What else? When I cast off, I used, let's see, extra stretchy bind off by Very Pink Knits, because I couldn't remember the one I used for the other Alpine socks. I don't know what's wrong with me. And so that's why it looks like that. They kind of look a bit flared, but they fit. When they're on my feet, they look like that, and it's fine. They're for me, and I like them. I'm happy with those. So those are my socks. And my last, well, actually I've got two more finished objects to share with you. So the next one is something I'm really proud of. I saw Noelle from Knits and Pieces do a beautiful baby dress, and I saw it on Instagram. She showed a picture of it on Instagram, and I checked it out on Ravelry, and I loved the look of it. The pattern is so pretty. I was really pleased with it. It's called the Fairy Leaves dress, and it's by Yarnspirations Design Studio, and I decided to knit this just because I have a family member who's expecting a baby in September, and I wanted to knit a little dress. And so this is in the 6-month size, and this is what the dress looks like. I have showed the picture on Ravelry. I put my little tag on the bottom there. That's not anything strange. I've just got these little tags printed, and I stuck that on just for show, I guess, just to show that it's handmade. But this is the dress. It's so cute. I love it. The yarn I've used for this is Stylecraft Bambino double knitting yarn in the colourway Heather, and that is what it looks like. It's an acrylic yarn, which is great for baby items, I'm told. Very easy, fast knit. I think I knit this in 3 days. 3 days it took me to knit this. If I was just sitting down just working on it all day, I would have probably done the whole thing. It's knit in the round. You can see it's so cute. If I had a little girl, she'd definitely be wearing this. A small girl. I have a daughter, but she's not this small. And it's just one button at the back there, and it's so pretty. Now, I managed to go wrong with the pattern, as I do on most patterns. I got everything right except for the patterning around the leaf mine is different because I wasn't paying attention, but I think it still looks nice. You can't really tell that it's not the right pattern. It's just the pattern has a chart and it has the written out pattern, and I was trying to follow both and I got a little bit confused, and so I just ended up just looking at the pattern, the written pattern, instead of the chart. And yeah, I managed to miss the fact that part of this section around here was supposed to be knit differently. I can't remember what the detail was, and I'm not really that fussed about it because I still think the dress looks pretty and you wouldn't know that that was a mistake. I did also make a mistake on the back here. You can see that looks like it should be stocking stitch, but I managed to make a mistake there. But hey, who's going to notice that, really? The sleeves, I did a stretchy bind off for the sleeves just because you need to have that extra space when you're getting the baby's arms in. So that one looks a lot wider than this one, but they are the same bind off that I used for that. The dress is neck down, top down, so that's that. Yeah, I'm really pleased with it. I was going to do it without the lace pattern at the bottom because I thought that might be a little bit too much, and I might well do another one but do just the leaf there and not the bottom bit, or do just the bottom and not the leafy bit. I'm not sure, but I do plan to do another one of these in a different yarn. But that is one finished object. So that is my leafy, what is it called? Fairy Leaves dress by Yarnspirations Design Studio, and that's my third finished object. Really pleased with that. I made this in a 6-month size, but I'm not sure that that's 6 months. That's probably more like 3 months to me. I don't know. What do I know about baby sizes now? My kids are not that small anymore. So my next and last finished object is this baby hat top knot. I'll count these as one because I've got the top knot baby hat, which is the Cardigan baby hat with top knot, and I made some mittens to go with that, these little baby mittens to go with it because the pattern's very similar with the garter stitch edging, and the mittens are quick baby mittens. So let me start with the hat. I saw the hat on Mindful Knitting's podcast. I can't remember the name of the girls. I'm really sorry, girls, but one of the girls just knit up the hat, and she did some mittens as well. No, she did the hat and socks. I decided to do the hat and mittens, and when I looked in my library, this was already in there, but I hadn't tried it. So she kind of reminded me that I have a hat to knit. So I knit this cute little baby top knot hat, and you would think that is an I-cord edge. That's what I thought, but it's not. It is just knit in garter stitch. It's a free pattern on Ravelry, as was the last one. This is called the baby hat with top knot, and it's Cardigan, and it's by Julie Taylor. And I've knit the 3 to 6 month size, and I think I made a mistake again with the edge because there's meant to be a little bit more garter stitch. I think there's supposed to be another row of bumps, and I've only done 3 for some reason. I obviously lost track. The decrease is very easy to do. I started these off on circular needles. As you can see, it's done in the round, but I ended up having to switch to double pointed needles because obviously the size of it is too small for like a 16-inch needle. So I was using 16-inch circulars. The needles I used were 3.75 millimeters as per the pattern, and for the edge, because I wanted the edge to be very stretchy for baby's head, and I've stuck my little label in here, cute little made with love label. Because I wanted the edge to be stretchy, I used the German twisted cast on, which I remembered that I knew how to do, and that gives a really lovely stretch, so it's not going to be too tight for baby's head. It stretches quite a lot. So yeah, so I've done that. Really pleased with that. And what did I do? Cast on 66 stitches. I think because I actually used a different needle size. I think that's what happened. I used a different needle size, 3.75 millimeter needles. I think the pattern called for smaller needles. Yeah, 3.25 needles for the rib, for the that section, and then 4mm for the main body of the hat, and I've used 3.75 for the whole thing. And what I've done, because of I didn't have actually 3.75mm needles in, not 3.75, 3.25mm needles in a 16-inch. So I just used my 3.75, and instead of doing the 72 stitch count for the whole thing, I did the 66 stitches. I cast on 66 stitches to start with, and then I increased up to 72 for the main body of the hat, so it would still be wide enough. I have noticed that you can actually see where I increase my stitches, so next time round I'd probably be a little bit more discreet about that. You can see where I've increased, because it kind of goes out of alignment. But never mind, I don't think the baby's really going to care about that once her head's warm. So that's that. The decreases were really easy, very easy pattern to follow, really nice pattern, and the top knot is so cute. And it was done pretty quickly. I did this in one day, maybe a couple of hours, I think, maybe an hour, 2 hours, while I was watching TV. Really easy knit. And the mittens, same thing. I did those pretty quickly. These mittens are the same yarn, the Stylecraft Bambino. This is using a pattern called Quick Baby Mittens by Mariana Mel, and I've knit a 3 to 6 month size. These I wanted 3 to 6 months, and the pattern only went up to 0 to 3 months. So what I did was I cast on 29 stitches instead of, I think it was 25 that the pattern was calling for. So I've made them a little bit bigger, and I've knit these in the round, whereas the pattern is flat, because I didn't want to have to sew anything in. And also I knit 4 garter ridge rows of the cuff, so these are doubled up, so that's what it looks like. I've knit like 4 garter rows, not 4. I've knit loads, 6. I've got 4 written down on my Ravelry page. It's actually 6 garter bump rows of the pattern instead of the 4. And then I've just, when you double it over, they look like this, and they're so cute, and they go nicely with the hat. So yay! If I'd have thought about it, if I'd done the mittens first, I would have done more of the garter for the hat and then turned that over too. But I think if I do that, that might still work. I don't know. I think it might be a little bit too small if it's left like that for a baby's head. I think you need to have the brim down. Anyway, so those are my 2 finished objects. So I'm pleased with those. Then, whilst I've been doing all of that, I've had other projects on the go. So I think you guys will remember that I started working on the double knitted scarf, and I can't remember where it was the last time I showed you, but it hasn't moved much. That's where it is. I've done a couple of rows, nothing major on this, so not really a lot to show on that one. That is still a work in progress. The same with my, where is it? My memory blanket, which I purchased this little bag. I saw this little bag in a park fair and I couldn't resist picking it up. It's a little chic bag. I thought it was really cute. It's like a tote, I suppose. There's no pocket or anything like that inside, but it holds my memory blanket quite nicely and some yarn in there. And this is where I am with my memory blanket. I have a couple of squares added. I'm not rushing to do this. This is like a work in progress. So I've added a couple of squares on. I don't think much else. No, I haven't added much else since my update on my Ravelry page. So that's it. So I'll just keep working on this. So that's that. That's just my double knit, my on-the-go project. I'm being called, just a second. My next work in progress is my Spindrift shawl. I don't think I'd even started this when I last recorded. So this is the pattern. It's by Helen Stewart. I wanted to do a pattern by Helen Stewart because I've heard her name mentioned. I wanted something easy and I found this and I thought that looks pretty easy. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. I've only ever done one shawl before, so I need something simple that I can work with. It's a one skein project and it's easy, and I am using for this one my Craft House Magic yarn, which is a merino nylon combo. I think it's 75% merino. Let's have a look. It's from Ellie from Craft House Magic. She has a podcast if you're interested. Craft House Magic, that's the logo. And the yarn is called You Spin Me Round, and it's 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon. That's it there. And this is what it looks like. It's a grey speckled yarn with pink and purpley colours, and it knits up so nicely. I've got it on my DPNs. Let me just take that off. And not DPNs, my circulars. So these are, I think, 100 centimetre circulars or 80 centimetre circulars. These are my Chalgu interchangeables. I'm using 4mm needles, and this is the edging, so this is where I started from. Just done those little holes. It's basically stocking stitch with a kind of a lace edging at the start. Can you see that? And then it's got this lovely, beautiful lace pattern at the bottom. So I'm very close to the end now. So this is what it's looking like. I've already made mistakes on this, and I've managed to mess up my stitch count a couple of times. And before I started this bottom lace section, I managed to make a mistake, and I don't know how or why, but hopefully it's not going to be too noticeable. But there it is. I can see it, and I know it's a mistake because those are supposed to be like holes, and there it's not. If you can see that, the holes are not like these holes, so it's supposed to look like this, right? And the holes actually on this little section looks like that. The holes are missing here. So I made a mistake with my stitches. I obviously didn't do the yarn over there, and that's messed that up. But I seem to have the correct stitch count, and so I'm just going to carry on. No one's going to notice. This is what the fabric actually looks like. It's so pretty. I'm actually looking at it while I'm knitting it, thinking that would make such a beautiful cardigan. Why didn't I get enough to make a cardigan? But I only got one skein of this, and yeah, so I'm just going to make it into what it is. It's going to be my spindrift shawl. Hopefully it's big enough for me. If not, then it will be my daughter's. And I think at the moment it's looking like it's going to be my daughter's. I'm enjoying knitting this because it's kind of got a nice little element of intricacy, but then it's also plain enough that I can work it while watching the TV. So there's not too much to remember in one pattern, and I'm enjoying that. Lastly, I have my socks that I am working for my brother. Now these are plain. I've decided to go back to doing some top down socks, cuff down socks, and so I'm calling them my mythical top down socks. These are for my brother. He's a UK size 10.5, and I'm for the first time doing a 72 stitch count. I've never done 72 stitches, and it's like a lot for the needles. Look, these are my 9-inch circulars, 2.25mm, and these are Chalgus, and it's literally right at the end of the needles. I've got my stitch marker here, which is a little turtle that I got from Em's Crafts, something like that. Yeah, so I'm enjoying using that for this. This yarn is Regia Design Line by Calf Facet. I may have said that wrong, but the colourway is Myth, and it's 03771. That's the colourway. It's working out nicely. This is 8 inches down here, 2-inch cuff, 2x2 rib German twisted cast on, and I've got in here, for the first time in a long time, I have used the Fish Lips Kiss Heel, and that's what it looks like. I like to do 2 socks at a time, but on different needles, so I just started the second one today, and I'm not very far with that. And I've got my little donut, my Jammy Dodger actually, stitch marker on that. And this is being housed, I forgot to mention actually, this is being housed in my Plum and Dandy bag, which looks like this. I got this in a giveaway from the Pen Hooks and Needles channel, and I love it. It's such a lovely bag, really happy with that. The one that is housing my Spindrift shawl is this, I don't even know what to call it, woolen balls bag. I think it's from the Quince Pie shop, which is an Etsy shop, and that houses that project. So yeah, that is it. Those are all of my finished objects and my works in progress. I've already done my video with my incoming yarn. I don't have anything else to share with you now. Hopefully you've enjoyed seeing what I finished up and what I'm working on. If you have, give me some thumbs up. Let me know in the comments section below. I've got a dash because my dinner is waiting for me, and hopefully it won't take too long to upload this video. But yeah, don't forget to go over to my Ravelry group and join in the discussions over there. We'd love to have you. But yeah, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. See you next time.